the last class, we started new chapter, that is a negotiable instrument 1, chapter number 9. And we discussed in that chapter what is the meaning of word credit, what is the credit, and how this word credit derived from which language. And then we discussed about what is a credit instrument. In a banking industry, credit instrument means the medium through which businessmen make the payment to each other. Like buyer is making a payment to. So in the business world, these credit instruments are used to make the receipts and payments. We discussed that these credit instruments are not money, but they have all the powers, all the functions of money that money is performing, they can also perform these credit instruments. And we discussed the mainly credit instruments used in the business world. One is the promissory note, that buyer is writing this promissory note to seller that I am promising you that I will pay your money. Similarly, when a buyer is giving a check to seller, like for example over here, this is the amount which buyer is willing to pay to the seller. And the third is bill of exchange. In bill of exchange, exporter is demanding the payment from the importer. These three are the credit instruments, and one more credit instrument is a bank draft. Bank is writing this bank draft and saying on the request, of course, on the request of buyer, bank will make this bank draft, and where this bank draft will be given to the seller. Buyer is saying bank to make a bank draft, and ultimately this bank draft will go to the seller, where the bank is writing the promise that I will make the payment. Okay, so this is a bank draft. We will see this bank draft in more detail in our later classes. And then again, letter of credit. It is again a credit instrument. It is a payment, as I told you. It is the surety from the importers. It is the surety given to exporter bank from the importer bank that I will make the payment. These are the features and characteristics of credit instruments. All the credit instruments, either it's a check, it's a bank draft, LC, whatever it is, promissory note, it must be always in writing. It is always given in written form. All credit instruments are unconditional. You cannot add any condition in this receipts and payment. For example, you cannot write, if this will have, I promise to pay sum of rupees 200 if this event will happen. So such a condition you cannot add in any credit instruments. Credit instruments are used for the purpose of unconditional receipts and payments. Again, as I told you, these are not the money, but they are substitute of money, because they perform all the functions of money in the business dealings. Whenever any businessman wants to make a payment, they write the credit instrument, they write the check. They write the check and they give the payment with this credit instrument. And one thing, and a very important thing, without these credit instruments, trade is not possible. You cannot do import, you cannot do export, because importer needs to give payment surety by writing the LC. Exporters demand the payment from the importer by writing bill of exchange. So it is unnecessary. These credit instruments are necessary for trade. Again, we know trade is a buying and selling. This buying and selling, international buying and selling, is not possible without credit instruments. And yes, it is a proof of debt. As I told you, if I will give you a credit instrument, for example, I am writing a check and I am giving you, it means I am debtor and you are the creditor. If you have a credit instrument in your hand given by any other party, it means the other party is under your debt. So what is it? It is, you can say it is a token, it is a proof, it is a legal proof of debt, that somebody has to give your payment. If you have any credit instrument in your hand, if somebody has given you a check, it means the other person, you have a proof in terms of credit instrument, that look, this is a credit instrument, this is a check, and that other person is supposed to give me the amount which is written on the check. The sixth characteristics of credit instrument, it reduces the risk of loss. Look, carrying a large amount of cash is a very risky. In the business world, the businessmen always avoid to carry cash. They don't like to make the payments with the cash. Even the person to whom you are giving a cash is not, willing to receive the cash, because the person who is receiving the cash, he needs to count the cash. He needs to check the notes which you are giving to him or her are fake or genuine. So there are a lot of risk associated with cash transactions. And the businessmen, they don't have such a time to count the cash. So it reduces the risk of loss as well as it saves the times. Credit instrument saves time and labor both in settlement of debts. And yes, the last is it facilitates the trade. Credit instrument, without credit instrument, as I told you, you cannot buy, you cannot sell good outside the country. So what are the credit instruments? You are promising that I will make the payment in future. Now credit instruments can be negotiable and non-negotiable. We have studied that check, we studied the promissory note, we studied bank draft, letter of credit. These are the credit instruments. These can be negotiable and non-negotiable. What does it mean now? Negotiable means, look, for example, I have given you a check. You transferred the same check to any other person. These are such credit instruments whose rights can be transferred to other person. Now, among all these credit instruments, check, promissory note, bill of exchange and bank draft are negotiable. Now, how you are going to understand this thing? Look at the whiteboard. So here I am going to explain what is a negotiable instrument. Negotiable instrument. Look this example over here. Like this is Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali wants to give amount to Mr. let's say Salim. So Mr. Ali gives a check of 20 Bahraini dinar BD20 to Mr. Salim. Now Mr. Salim wants to give the same amount to any other person, like let's say Mr. Ahmed. So Mr. Ali has given the check of 20 BD to Mr. Salim. Now check is with Mr. Salim. It is written pay. It is written pay Mr. Salim. Ali has written this. Ali has written on the check pay Mr. Salim 20 Bahraini dinar. Now same check, because Mr. Salim wants to give the payment to Mr. Ahmed, same 20 BD amount. So what he will do, he will transfer the rights. He will transfer this right of this check. Look, I'm using the word he will transfer. He will transfer the rights of receiving the payment to Mr. Ahmed. Salim will write on the back side. On the back side of the check, he will write pay Mr. Ahmed. In front, what is written? In front, it is written pay Mr. Salim. And who has written this? Mr. Ali has written on the front that pay Mr. Salim Bahraini dinar 20. Now, when Mr. Salim will receive this check, because now he wants to give the same amount to Mr. Ahmed, what Mr. Salim will do? Mr. Salim will transfer the right. How he is going to transfer the right of this amount? By writing on the back side of the check, Mr. Salim is going to write pay Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Salim is going to sign on the back side of the check. Look, I'm saying back side. Okay, back side. Mr. Salim is going to write back side. So this way, now this credit instrument has been negotiated. Negotiated means transfer. So Mr. Salim has transferred the right of this 20 BD amount to Mr. Ahmed. So this is called negotiable instrument. This is called endorsement. Mr. Salim has endorsed at the back of the check, and he has written that pay this 20 BD amount to Mr. Ahmed, and Mr. Salim is going to sign at the back of the check. This is called endorsement. He endorsed the check and he gave the check to Mr. Ahmed. Now who has the right to receive this 20 BD? Mr. Ahmed has the right to receive this 20 BD. Come back to the definition on the PowerPoint again. So those instruments which you can endorse on the back side are called negotiable instruments. Negotiable means transferable. You can transfer, someone has given you a check, you can transfer the same check by endorsing to any other person. Similarly, someone has promised you that he or she is going to make you a payment. The promissory note you can endorse from the back side and you can give to any other person. The same can be happen with the bill of exchange and bank draft. So what does it mean? It means negotiable instruments are check. Check is a negotiable instrument. Number one, check is a negotiable instrument. Promissory note is a negotiable instrument. Bill of exchange is a negotiable instrument. And bank draft is a negotiable instrument. It means these 1, 2, 3, 4. You can endorse them. You can endorse these all credit instruments on the back of the instrument. You can endorse on the back, okay, and you can transfer the right. Similarly, now what is a non-negotiable instruments? These are such instruments whose right cannot be transferred to any person, like letter of credit. Letter of credit is a non-negotiable instrument. If importer has written a negotiable instrument, exporter cannot endorse it. Similarly, money orders and postal orders, you are sending the money with the help of post office. If you send money to any other person using post office, it is called a postal order. Orders cannot be endorsed. You cannot transfer the amount, you cannot transfer the right to any other person. So I hope it's clear now what we mean by negotiable instruments and non-negotiable instruments. Now moving on to the next slide, as we all know that list of negotiable instruments. Check is a negotiable instrument. You can transfer, you can endorse on the back side. Always remember, endorsement is on the back side of the credit. You cannot endorse on the front. Similarly, bill of exchange is a negotiable credit instrument. Promissory note is a negotiable credit instrument. And now the first credit instrument, and that is a negotiable instrument, is a check, which you are going to study. Today we will look only to the definition of a check. So how you are going to define a check? A check is an unconditional. Remember the characteristics of a credit instrument. All credit instruments are unconditional. Similarly, check is an unconditional. It's an order and in writing. Remember, 1, it is unconditional. Number 2, it's an order. Number 3 is in writing. And who is giving order to whom? Now question is arising here. Who is ordering? Who is writing a check? Account holder. A bank customer writes the check. So this is the account holder. Over here, this is the account holder. Account holder is ordering the bank. This order is given by the account holder. If you have a current account, you are account holder. If you have a saving account, you are account holder. You have a foreign currency account. And when you write a check, you are giving an order to your bank. And what is the order, by the way? Pay this amount to this person. What is an order? Order is pay. This pay word is an order. When account holders write a check, he is giving an unconditional order, always in writing. Over here, drawer. Drawer is an account holder. Drawer means the person who is writing the check. Signed by drawer, account holder. And he is directing to the bank. Directing, or you can write ordering the bank to pay a certain sum of money to a certain person. So what is a check? Check is an unconditional order in writing drawn by account holder and drawn on bank. Drawn by and drawn on. Drawn on. Always drawn by account holder. Always drawn by account holder. And drawn on, always bank. Remember, it's an order always on bank. Drawn on means, it means always giving an order to a bank. So whenever you write a check, any businessman is writing a check, it means businessman, when the businessman is signing the check, it means businessman is ordering his bank to pay the amount, whatever amount he is writing. So pay that certain sum of money to a certain person. For example, in this example, if I write over here pay, let's say pay Ali. How much amount you are paid? 20 Bahraini dinar. So it is an order to your bank, and who is giving? Account holder. Account holder is giving this order to the bank. Pay this amount to Mr. Ali, that is a specified sum, 20 Bahraini dinar. And who is the certain person? Certain person is here, Mr. Ali. And who is ordering? Let's say it's my account. I am the account holder. I am signing the check. I am signing the check. So I am the account holder. I am the drawer, and I am the drawn by. So this check is drawn by Asma Nadeem, drawn on Bank of Baroda. My account is a current account. You can see on the check. So look at the check again. This is drawn on Bank of Baroda, drawn by this account holder, and I am ordering. I am ordering over here in the pay. I have written Ali. So pay Ali means I am ordering Bank of Baroda. I am the drawer and drawn by Asma Nadeem and drawn on. This is drawn on. You have to be very clear about these terms. These are very normal terms we use when we write a check or any credit instrument. So a check is always drawn on bank. Learn it. It is always drawn on bank. It means the check is always an order. An order is always given to bank. And what kind of order is this? The order is to pay certain sum of money to a certain person. And who is signed by the drawer? Who is the drawer? Drawer is the account holder. No one else can give the order to the bank. Only account holder can order the bank. And if you want to order your bank, you write a credit instrument, and that credit instrument is a check. See the authority of an account holder. Account holder has an authority. He can order or she can order his bank. And who is the certain person whose name is written over here on the pay? This is the certain person. So now look, a check. Again, a check is a bill of exchange. I will explain you this later in the classes when we will study a bill of exchange. Just remember, a check is also a kind of a bill of exchange. Drawn on always a bank and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand. Yes. Now, what is the last sentence means? When this order will come into an effect, when Mr. Ali, like in this example, Mr. Ali will take this check to Baroda Bank. Mr. Ali is demanding now. So this check is payable only on demand. Okay. So when bank has to implement the order on demand. And who can demand? Mr. Ali. In Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. This is an act written in 1881. In this act, how the check has been defined in this act, a check is a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker and not expressed to payable. Bank will never pay this amount until it is demanded. Mr. Ali will take this check to Baroda Bank. Then this bank is liable to pay this amount to Mr. Ali. I believe that you understand the first credit instrument, that is a check. I hope it's clear to everyone.